All right, get ready, because we're taking a deep dive into some seriously timeless wisdom. We're looking at excerpts from Surah Al-Hujurat, life lessons for today.
Oh, I love that book.
Yeah, and trust me, you'll be surprised just how relevant these ancient teachings are to the craziness we all deal with every single day.
You know, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like Surah Al-Hujurat is like this guidebook to how we relate to each other, to society.
Yeah.
And get this, it even has something to say about the wild world of the internet.
I know, right? That's actually where I wanted to start. That whole idea of fact-checking before you share anything, it's like a constant battle in the age of social media, don't you think?
Oh, 100%. And what blows me away is that Surah Al-Hujurat is right there with us. It addresses it head on, like centuries before the internet was even a thing. Check out verse 49.6.
Okay.
It warns us, "O you who have believed, if a corrupt person comes to you with information, investigate, lest you harm a people out of ignorance and become regretful over what you have done." It's a timeless reminder to think critically and to share responsibly.
You know, it's so easy to get swept up in the tornado of news and gossip flying around online. But this verse, it's like a giant pause button, right? Like, take a breath, dig a little deeper, maybe even think twice before hitting that share button.
Exactly. And the consequences of not doing that, well, they can be pretty huge, both for us individually, but for society as a whole.
Okay, so paint me a picture, a real-life example. How does this play out?
So let's say you get a message claiming that, I don't know, maybe a close friend has been talking smack about you behind your back. Your first reaction might be to feel hurt, confront them, maybe even end the friendship. But this verse, it suggests a different route. Investigate. Maybe that message was taken out of context. Maybe it's completely made up. By checking the facts first, you could avoid a huge fight and maybe even save a valuable relationship.
It makes you realize how quickly misinformation can blow up. It's like that Hadith. It is enough falsehood for a man to relate everything he hears.
Such a powerful reminder, right? It's like a warning to not just blindly repeat everything we hear. We have a responsibility to be careful and to help spread truth, not lies.
That lesson has never been more relevant than it is right now, that's for sure. So much for ancient wisdom being outdated. Okay, moving on to the next thing that caught my eye. Surah Al-Hujurat's take on mocking and insults. It doesn't pull any punches, does it?
Absolutely not. Verse 49.1 tells us, "O you who have believed, let not a people ridicule another people, perhaps they may be better than them." What's really interesting to me is this emphasis on looking past the surface. It's a reminder that appearances can be totally deceiving.
So it's more than just being polite, right? It's about fighting those quick judgments we all make.
Exactly. This verse is encouraging us to remember that what really matters is a person's inner qualities. Their character, their compassion, their integrity, not their looks, their status, or how much stuff they have. Think about it. Someone who seems awkward or different might actually have a heart of gold and unbelievable strength of character.
It's like that Hadith. A Muslim is the brother of a Muslim. He does not wrong him, nor humiliate him, nor look down upon him. Piety is here, pointing to his heart. It is enough evil for a person to look down upon his brother.
Right. It's a powerful reminder that everyone deserves respect, no matter their differences.
This next point is a little heavier, and it really hit me because of the imagery it uses. Surah Al-Hujurat doesn't mess around when it comes to condemning suspicion, spying, and backbiting.
Ah, you're talking about verse 49.1, right?
Yep.
It is intense. "O you who have believed, avoid much suspicion. Indeed, some suspicion is sin. And do not spy or backbite one another. Would one of you like to eat the flesh of his brother when dead? You would detest it." That analogy really stays with you, doesn't it?
It's not your typical dinner table conversation, but it really slams home how destructive these things can be, not just for the person involved, but for relationships and whole communities.
Absolutely. It's like a disease that spreads,
Yeah.
eating away at trust and creating a toxic environment. Oh, totally. Think about a workplace where gossip and backstabbing are rampant. It's like fear, suspicion, negativity. No one feels safe, and it's impossible to work together.
Exactly.
It's so easy to get sucked into that negativity, especially when it feels like everyone else is doing it. But this verse reminds us we have a choice. We can either be part of the problem or part of the solution.
Right. And that choice shows up in our words and our actions. Do we spread rumors and tear people down, or do we build them up and create a more positive, supportive environment? That's a question we all need to be asking ourselves, especially online.
It all circles back to that hadith. He who believes in Allah on the last day should either speak good or remain silent. That feels super relevant today, when it's so easy to fire off a mean comment or share juicy gossip without thinking about the consequences. Okay, so we've covered fact-checking, respecting others, avoiding gossip. What's next on our deep dive into Surah Al-Hujurat? Let's shift gears to conflict resolution. Verse 49.9 says, "And if two groups of believers fight each other, then make peace between them." Now, you might think that only applies to physical fights, but it's actually way broader than that.
So it's not just about avoiding brawls, but about creating a spirit of peace and reconciliation in everything we do, right?
Exactly. This verse is all about being peacemakers, not troublemakers. It's about choosing to talk things out instead of getting aggressive, to try and understand instead of judging, and to forgive instead of holding grudges.
I love that. It's like we're all meant to be diplomats in our own lives. But how does that actually look? Give me a real-life example of this principle in action.
Sure. Imagine two of your friends have a huge falling out because of some misunderstanding. Instead of taking sides or making things worse, this verse would encourage you to step in and try to mediate. You could help them communicate better, see each other's point of view, and hopefully find a way to make up.
So it's about being a bridge builder, not a wall builder. Choosing unity over division, even when it's tough.
There's a hadith that sums this up beautifully, isn't there?
You're thinking of the one where Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "Shall I not tell you something more excellent than fasting, prayer, and charity?" It is reconciliation between people.
Wow, that really puts things into perspective. Okay, last stop for this part of our deep dive. Let's talk about unity and diversity. I have a feeling this is one's going to resonate with a lot of people.
It's such a powerful message, and verse 49.13 puts it perfectly. "O mankind, indeed, we have created you from male and female and made you peoples and tribes that you may know one another. Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous of you."
That verse is like dropping the mic. It's basically saying, hey, leave your prejudices at the door. We're all in this together.
It's a profound statement about how all humans are fundamentally equal, regardless of their race, ethnicity, gender, or social status. The things that truly matter are our character, our compassion, and our actions. So give me an example. How could someone apply this in their life?
Let's say you're thinking about getting married and you meet someone incredible who ticks all the boxes. Kind, intelligent, shares your values, the whole package. But your family doesn't approve because they come from a different background. This verse reminds us those kinds of prejudices have no place in Islam. True nobility comes from being righteous and doing good deeds, not from your family tree or the color of your skin.
It's about seeing our differences as a strength, as something beautiful, not something to be afraid of or reject.
And that message is echoed in a hadith where the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "No Arab is superior over a non-Arab, and no non-Arab is superior over an Arab, and no white person is superior over a black person, nor is a black person superior over a white person, except by piety and good deeds."
Wow, that's a message the world needs to hear loud and clear, wouldn't you say? Especially these days, when there's so much division and intolerance. We've covered some really deep topics today, but I'm excited to unpack them even more in the next part of our deep dive. How about we take a moment to digest what we've learned so far and come back ready to see how these teachings can be put into practice in our own lives?
I'm all for that. These are ideas worth really thinking about, and I'm looking forward to hearing how they resonate with you.
Me too.
Yeah.
And we're back. My brain is still buzzing after that last part. Surah Al-Hujurat is seriously packed with wisdom that still applies to us, even all these centuries later.
It's mind-blowing how relevant these teachings are. It's like they were made for any time and any place, you know? They give us a roadmap for dealing with the complexities of being human no matter what era you're in.
That's what I love about these deep dives. It's not just about learning stuff. It's about figuring out how to actually use that knowledge in our own lives.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So how about we take a minute to recap those 5 big takeaways we've covered and then really dig into how they can help us face the challenges of modern life, you know?
Sounds good to me. I'm ready for a little refresher.
All right, so first up is that crucial reminder to double-check, fact-check before you spread any information. This is especially important in today's digital world where misinformation can go viral in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it's like we all have a responsibility to be truth tellers in a way.
That's a great way to put it. When we're careful and responsible with the information we share, we create a more informed and trustworthy society.
Okay, what's next?
Next, we have that call to treat others with respect. Avoiding those knee-jerk reactions, the mockery, the insults, and judgments based solely on appearances. It's all about creating a society where empathy and understanding are the norm.
It's about seeing the inherent worth in every person and remembering that true value comes from their character, not from superficial stuff.
Absolutely. We've got to challenge those deep-seated biases that make us judge others based on how they look or where they come from.
Okay, and that leads us to the third point, the one that gave me chills, the condemnation of suspicion, spying, and backbiting.
Ah, yes. Verse 49.112.
Yeah.
It really hits you where it hurts with that analogy of eating the flesh of your dead brother. Ugh, it creates such a vivid picture of how damaging those actions can be, not just for individuals, but for relationships and entire communities.
It's like a poison that spreads,
Yeah.
weakening trust and filling everything with negativity.
Exactly. This teaching reminds us to be mindful of what we say and what we do, to avoid gossiping and spreading rumors, and instead focus on building trust and creating healthy relationships. It's about creating an environment where people feel safe, supported, and respected.
It feels like something we all need to work on, especially in the age of social media where it's so easy to tear someone down anonymously. All right, what's takeaway number 4?
Number 4, zeroes in on resolving conflicts peacefully, being peacemakers instead of instigators, and choosing reconciliation over animosity. This one's key for building harmonious and just communities.
So it's about choosing to talk things out instead of getting aggressive,
Right.
and about trying to understand each other's point of view and forgiving each other instead of holding on to anger and resentment.
You got it. And by embracing this idea of reconciliation, we can turn conflicts into opportunities for growth, understanding, and even stronger relationships. We can be bridge builders, connecting instead of dividing.
And last but not least, there's that beautiful idea of unity and diversity, recognizing the shared humanity in everyone and pushing back against prejudice based on race, ethnicity, or social status.
It's such a powerful reminder that our differences make us stronger, not weaker. It's about celebrating our unique perspectives and experiences, realizing that a tapestry is richer and more beautiful when it's woven with threads of different colors and textures.
I love that analogy. It's like a garden where different kinds of flowers make for a more stunning and fragrant display than a field of just one type of bloom.
Absolutely. It speaks to the richness and resilience that diversity brings to a society. When we embrace this, we build a world where everyone feels like they belong, no matter their background, beliefs, or who they are.
So we've come full circle. We've explored these 5 key principles from Surah Al-Hujurat and seen how they could be applied not just in our personal lives, but in our interactions with the wider world too.
Yeah, and what's really cool is how these teachings show us that our individual actions have a ripple effect on everyone and everything around us. They're not just about our personal growth, but about contributing to something larger than ourselves.
So how do we take these principles from theory to practice? How do we actually live them out?
Well, I've been thinking about that a lot myself. It all starts with self-awareness, right? Being mindful of our thoughts, our words, and our actions and how they affect others. Are we spreading kindness and understanding, or are we adding to the negativity and division in the world?
It's a question we should all be asking ourselves every day.
Couldn't agree more. And it's not just about avoiding bad behavior, but actively trying to do good. How can we be more compassionate, more understanding, more forgiving in our interactions? How can we be a light in a world that often feels pretty dark and divided?
I love that idea of being a light. It's like a reminder that even the smallest acts of kindness can make a difference, making the world a little brighter one interaction at a time.
And those little ripples of kindness can grow into waves of positive change. Remember, every kind act, every bridge we build, every time we stand up for what's right, it all adds up to a more just, compassionate, and harmonious world.
It's empowering to think that we can all make a difference, no matter how small our actions might seem.
Absolutely. That's the beauty of the teachings in Surah Al-Hujurat. They remind us that we're not just bystanders. We have the power to shape the world around us.
So what's the next step in this journey of actually living out these principles?
It's all about reflection, looking inward, and really thinking about how these teachings resonate with us personally. What challenges do we face in actually putting them into practice? What steps can we take to be more mindful of our thoughts, words, and actions?
So it's about having those tough conversations with ourselves.
Exactly. And once we've done that inner work, we can start to identify concrete steps we can take to actually embody these values in our daily lives. Maybe it's starting a gratitude practice, volunteering in our communities, or just making a conscious effort to be more patient and understanding with the people around us.
It's about taking action and making those principles a living reality.
Right, and it's a journey, not a destination. We'll stumble along the way for sure, but the important thing is to keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving to be better versions of ourselves.
That's a great point to end this part of our deep dive on. We've explored some really profound teachings from Surah Al-Hujurat, and now it's time to take that wisdom and put it into practice. How about we take a little break and then come back ready to wrap up this incredible journey?
Sounds like a plan. I'm really looking forward to hearing your thoughts on how these teachings can shape our lives and change the world around us.
We're back for the final part of our deep dive into Surah Al-Hujurat. It's been quite a journey so far, wouldn't you say? We've uncovered so much wisdom that just seems to speak directly to the challenges we're facing today.
Oh, absolutely. You know, what's really stood out to me is how Surah Al-Hujurat connects our personal ethics with our responsibility to society as a whole. It's like this reminder that what we do as individuals, it ripples outwards. It affects not just us, but our communities and the world.
It's like we're all these threads in a giant tapestry, and the choices we make can either make that tapestry stronger or create these little tears in the fabric.
I love that image. So as we wrap up, I thought it would be great to revisit those 5 big takeaways we've been talking about and really see how they can help us create a more just, compassionate, and harmonious world.
That sounds like a perfect way to bring it all together. Where should we start?
Well, let's begin with that emphasis on checking facts before we spread information. This goes beyond just protecting ourselves from fake news. It's about protecting the integrity of information within our communities.
So it's like a shared responsibility we all have to be really careful about what we consume and what we share, especially now when false information can spread so quickly and easily.
Exactly. By being mindful and taking the time to verify things, we help create a more informed and responsible society. We're like guardians of the truth, protecting our communities from the damage that misinformation can cause.
Yeah, it's like that saying, a single lie can destroy an entire truth. Okay, so fact-checking is key. What about that second principle? Treating others with respect and avoiding all that mockery and judgment based on appearances.
Right. This teaching is all about building a culture of empathy and understanding. It's about creating a world where people feel valued and appreciated for who they are, not for what they look like or how they're different. It's about recognizing that real worth comes from character, compassion, and integrity, not someone's looks or their social status.
I think deep down we all want that. To be seen and appreciated for who we really are, not for the labels or judgments that society throws at us.
100%. And when we put this principle into practice, we're helping create a world where kindness and compassion win out over judgment and prejudice.
Okay, let's move on to the third principle. The strong words against suspicion, spying, and backbiting. What kind of impact do these things have on society as a whole?
They eat away at trust, which is the foundation of any healthy community. They create this environment of fear, suspicion, and negativity, making it hard for people to connect authentically and work together.
It's like a poison that spreads and weakens the ties that bind us together.
Absolutely. So when we resist these harmful behaviors, we're contributing to a more positive and supportive social environment. We become peacemakers, fostering understanding and cooperation instead of conflict and division.
That brings us to the fourth principle, resolving conflicts peacefully and embracing reconciliation. How does that tie into creating a stronger society?
Conflict is a part of life, especially when you're talking about communities. But it's how we choose to deal with those conflicts that really makes a difference. Surah Al-Hujurat encourages us to go into those situations with a spirit of peace and understanding, trying to find solutions that work for everyone involved.
So it's about choosing dialogue over aggression, empathy over judgment, and forgiveness over holding a grudge.
Exactly. And when we practice this, we're showing others a more constructive and compassionate way to resolve differences. We're demonstrating that it's possible to disagree without being disrespectful, to find common ground even when there are strong opposing viewpoints.
And last, but certainly not least, we have that amazing concept of unity and diversity. How does that contribute to building a truly thriving society?
This teaching reminds us that our differences are assets, not liabilities. It encourages us to celebrate those unique perspectives and experiences, recognizing that a tapestry is so much richer and beautiful when it's woven with threads of all different colors and textures.
It's like a garden, right? Where having a bunch of different flowers creates a more stunning and fragrant display than a field with just one type of bloom.
Such a great analogy. It perfectly illustrates the richness and resilience that diversity brings to a society. When we truly embrace this principle, we're creating a world where everyone feels like they belong, regardless of their background beliefs or who they are.
Well, it seems like we've come full circle. We've explored these 5 principles from Surah Al-Hujurat and seen how they can be applied not just in our personal lives, but also in how we interact with the world around us.
And at the end of the day, these teachings are a powerful reminder that each one of us has a role to play in building a more just, compassionate, and harmonious society.
It's really inspiring to think that even small, everyday acts of kindness, respect, and understanding can make a positive difference.
Absolutely. It's about making that conscious choice to live by these values, to be a source of light and hope in a world that can feel pretty dark and divided at times.
It's about remembering that we're all connected and that what we do has the potential to create a ripple effect, shaping a better world for ourselves and future generations.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And on that note, I want to thank you for joining us on this incredible deep dive into Surah Al-Hujurat.
It's been a truly enriching experience. I hope our listeners leave feeling inspired and ready to embody these teachings in their own lives.
Remember, even small acts of kindness and understanding can have a huge impact.
And until next time, keep diving deeper into the knowledge that truly matters, and keep striving to be the change you want to see in the world.